I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're exploring the heartwarming and timeless charm of an amazing book. It is called Tales from Misty Acres. These delightful stories were originally crafted by Owen O'Donnell to entertain his daughters, and they bring a community of animal characters to life while delivering a meaningful bunch of life lessons. Set on a farm inspired by his childhood, these tales offer a unique blend of humor, warmth, and wisdom for readers of all ages. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by buying this wonderful book and by subscribing to our channel. Also, don't forget to download the Spotlight TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Owen, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
You're most welcome.
My dad used to make up stories as well about purple people eaters and all kinds of imaginative stuff, and loved hearing it. I was mesmerized by it. Tell us a little bit about the storytelling tradition you had with your daughters.
Well, when my daughters were very, very young, at 30 years ago or so, they had one story, the saggy baggy elephant and tawny scrawny lion. And that they kept saying, Daddy, read me a story. And finally, in desperation, after having done the story a million times, I said, how about if I tell you a story? And they said, okay. And spur of the moment, I put something together and began what is now in publication as Tales from Misty Acres. Incidentally, Misty Acres, there's a story behind that. That's what my folks used to call our residence in Connecticut.
Okay, very cool. Now, where was this farm in Connecticut?
About 2 miles away from my house.
Okay. And what part of Connecticut was that?
Uh, Bridgeport area.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And Misty Acres was the farm, and so that's the genesis of these stories as well.
Well, it's the title. The stories were put together from, I took events in my childhood and what I'd learned from them and wrapped them into these stories about little animals who did some strange, strange things, as I'm sure most parents have heard their children do. And one thing
Absolutely. Yeah, I
led to
used to tell
another.
my children like morality tales about not getting up and wandering out and exploring the woods in the middle of the night. And
Amen.
yeah, I used to tell them stories like that. That's how it began for me. Your stories are about animals, they're creative. Give us an example about one of the stories. Tell the folks at home one of your stories, if you would.
Well, first story in the book is a story about how a little bullfrog learned the true meaning of Christmas. Now, ironically enough, each one of the characters in the 12 stories in the book, I'd given them names long before we ever moved to the area that we're living in now. And so, one thing led to another. They seemed to like the stories. I, like Bobby was told by his parents that if you're going out someplace, let us know where you are so we won't worry about you.
Mm.
Needless to say, that would go flying over his head. And then parents would be, in my story, I'd have the parents getting really frustrated and worried. And I'd say, stop the story. And I'd say to my daughters, why are Bobby's mommy and daddy so worried? Because they didn't know where he was, Daddy. Oh, hmm. Didn't they ask him to tell? Yes. Hmm. Sort of like happened to mommy and me with you guys once or twice, right? Yes, Daddy. And so we go from there and build a story. And this one happened to be the story about how the bullfrog learned about true meaning of Christmas.
Hmm.
And ironically enough, one thing I did mention to somebody is that each one of the characters had names. The bullfrog was named Robert Aloysius Bullfrog, odd name. But the thing that was funny, we were living for about 25 years or so in Wayne County in North Carolina, which is far, far to the east. And we told the stories. They getting older and older and older. And I retired from the Air Force. And I tell people that my wife followed me around the world for 20 years. And now she went to seminary, got ordained, and now I'm following her.
Hmm.
And in this case, it was, here the a little. We didn't know why we were going to this part of North Carolina, but when I got here, I said, stories were acceptable, and ironically enough, it's interesting. I'm Catholic. My wife is Lutheran, and when we got here to the Burke County, I had to figure out, where am I going to go to church? And strangely enough, I found a Catholic church here, but his name was Saint Aloysius,
Hmm.
like Bobby Bullfrog's middle name. And I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe somebody up there is trying to tell me something. And so we went on from there and told the girls, told the kids in my wife's church about it, and they caught on.
Hmm.
So, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
And I'd use it. I stayed away from having people in the stories because that could complicate matters.
Yeah.
And worked out this way. The stories went well, and so here I am talking through a computer to you.
Awesome. Well, we love your stories. They're great. Bobby the Bullfrog, Bobby Aloysius, the Bullfrog story is a great one as well. We love how he finds the meaning, the true meaning of Christmas. Now, when you were telling these tales to your daughters, they kind of helped with the input, I would assume, because they're reacting to certain things and loving other certain things. So you probably learned to tweak the stories a certain way, right?
Right. I worked it out so that I'd keep a notice of how interested they were or might not be, God forbid. And they went along, and I tell them, okay, that's all for now. Then maybe we'll go ahead and figure another story to tell you a little later,
Mhm.
and take it from there. And as I said in the preface in the book, that I placed these things at a farm that was no more than 2 miles away from where I lived in
Mm.
Connecticut. And the farm is still there. I don't know if there's any uh, animals there because that was a long time ago.
Yeah. And the
Unfortunately,
Bridgeport area is kind of built up by now, that's for
oh yeah,
sure.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so how did you happen to hear about this?
We have a bunch of agents and a team that looks for the best authors and the most intriguing emerging authors. And your book came up and they showed it to me. I gave my thumbs up, and here you
They
are.
are.
So we're glad to have you on the show. Let
Well,
me ask you this. Is
sure.
there certain life lessons that you hope children learn from your stories?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's there's stories behind all of it that are spoken about but not preached to.
Mhm.
Like you know, treat your friends correctly. Uh, watch out for people, take care of people, be thankful for what you got, and it just sort of it sometimes it gets put into the story without my realizing that it was going to happen.
Exactly. It kind of seeps its way in. Now that your kids are grown, very grown. What was their reaction when their childhood stories went into print? They must have been pretty excited about that.
Uh, they were very politely, and it's one of them. One of them has two girls,
Mhm.
and we they liked the stories. So they, what are you going to do with them, Grandpa? What are you going to do? I said, well, I'll see if people are interested.
Yeah.
And we took it from there and worked it. And believe me, when I got the call from a publishing company, it just sort of like, ah, ah, ah.
Well, I'm glad they're in print, and I hope a lot of people enjoy these stories and purchase this book because they're lovely stories. Are you thinking about doing any more writing? Are you still writing?
Oh, well, yeah. As a matter of fact, this is volume one, and I've already got the story number one for volume two
Awesome.
that
Great.
will follow on with the last from the last story in the book. It'll go on to build, and then I've got to start getting down to business and working to craft this thing together and hopefully hit the same buttons on the new stories as I had with the old ones.
I'm sure you will. I'm sure you remember those stories that you told from long ago, and you might even invent some new ones along the way. You've got a great mind, you've got great characters, you've got a great imagination. The stories we've been talking about today, the book is called Tales from Misty Acres. These delightful stories, originally created by Owen O'Donnell to entertain his daughters, bring a community of animal crackers, animal characters to life, that is, to delivering meaningful life lessons as well. Set on a farm inspired by his childhood, these tales offer a unique blend of humor, warmth, and wisdom for readers of all
Mhm.
ages. Owen, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate your time, sir, and to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.